Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon as we get closer and closer to Saturday, June 1st, where it'll be another historic day at Citi Field as we retire number 18
Recording in progress.
forever for Darryl Strawberry. And with that, I'd like it to turn the call over to the Mets Vice President of Alumni Relations, Jay Horowitz. Jay, you got to unmute yourself.
Great career. Now he's on another career, helping kids all across the country stay away from drugs. Darryl, let me ask you this. What does June 1st mean to you now?
Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Good to see Kevin Mitchell and Lloyd McLendon on here, brothers that I grew up with in the organization. It means so much to me to have friends more than anything. I think you just don't get there by yourself. You get there through hard work and people that's around you. And Kevin Mitchell and Lloyd McLendon was a big part of that. And I'm glad those two are going to be at the ceremony. Means more to me about all of us, what we were striving towards to get to be great players at the major league level. And we all had a chance, and we all did. And we all got there and we all played and we were very successful. Bubblehead Lloyd, he was more successful at being a manager more than anything than the rest of us, But it was just all part of it, of us coming through the organization together. And we're homegrown players, right? All three of us. And that means a lot. That means a lot when you go to an organization with people and you see them and they're your friends and they're your friends after baseball. And we've been friends all along from the start of our careers. And that's why that day is going to be special to me to see people like that there. Of course, I get to celebrate the fact that I had a successful career in Queens, but you don't make it, like I said, you don't make it just by yourself. You make it because of other people.
Kevin Mitchell, probably the most underrated player on a 1986 team, played 4 or 5 different positions in infield and outfield. He's a rookie in '86, and he was held in such high esteem by his teammates as Gary Carter nicknamed him World B Mitch. That's a sign of respect. Got a big hit in the bottom of the 10th inning against the Red Sox. And to dispel all rumors, I was in the locker room. Kevin did not get dressed to leave. He was fully dressed at all times, ready to play. Kevin, what did it mean to be playing with Darryl all these years?
Man, I tell you, Jay, it was a blessing playing with that man right there, that tall thing of straw. You know what I'm saying? But I love the guy, man. I love what he's doing for himself and for other people. He's gave me a lot of motivation to stay focused and stay within myself. I watch his programs all the time on Facebook, how he's preaching. And I think he's found his calling, and I've always loved Straw ever since the first day I met him. He's always a big ball of joy. And Jay, it's just, it's an honor for me, especially when he called me the other day and asked me would I come. Because, I don't like being in the heat. I don't like a lot of stress. I try to live my life now, make it easy for my life. But you can see what I'm doing right now. I'm out here playing golf, something that he loves. I saw him practicing the other day.
Kevin, tell me, it's for the homeless, right? It's a tournament for the homeless.
Yes, we got a program called Project Touch, and we raise money for the homeless. It's one of the biggest tournaments in Temecula at Pachanga. It's a nice course, beautiful course. You hit off the hills, and we've been doing it for the last 14 years. And
good for you, Kevin. Good for you.
Something we're trying to do. We can't keep the homeless to stay in there, but we're trying to teach them how to make their food and do other things. Try to go out and help them get jobs, and it's just something that where I learned this from, though, Jay. I learned this from that man you talking to, Darryl Strawberry. How he's helping people. He's helped me a lot in my life, just by listening to him speak about the man upstairs.
Yeah, good man, Kev. Lloyd McLendon, former big league manager with Seattle and Pittsburgh, was Darryl's teammate with Lynchburg in 1981, and you, along with Gene Dusan, that was the manager of Lynchburg, really kept Darryl from quitting that year. Darryl describes it as 81 Lynchburg as the worst year of his life. Not great on the field, racial taunts off the field. Lloyd, why don't you tell the people what it was like in Lynchburg in 1981?
Well, it's been such a long time ago. I will say this has been a tremendous journey for Darryl, Kevin, and a lot of other guys that played on that team. And to hear Mitch say that he doesn't like a lot of stress, well, he gave me a lot of stress in Lynchburg. But I tell you what, Jay, you and I have talked about this a little bit, and I tried to convey this to people back in 1981. I said, Straw was so blessed and so graceful on the baseball field that a lot of times it looked as if he wasn't trying, but he was so talented that his talent came out, and the game was so easy for him at that level, and people didn't quite understand what he was all about. But he was a tremendous competitor. He wanted to win. He was 18 years old, and what a tremendous talent. And we all had the joy of watching him grow and continue to get better at that level.
Before I turn it back to you, guys were roommates, right? Is it just the teammates? You guys roomed together?
Yeah.
Yeah. I came out of spring training. I actually broke my wrist in spring training in big league camp, so I was a little late getting there. And I remember coming into the manager's office, and he said, "Well, you have a roommate." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I'm married." He said, "That's good. Get a 2-bedroom apartment because you have a roommate. And his name is Darryl Strawberry. He will be rooming with you." So I said, "Yes, sir." So, but it worked out good, and Darryl was just such a pleasure to be around, and we became great friends along with Mitch. Mitch and I became great friends. So it was really, really a tremendous journey for all of us, starting in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It's all yours, Ethan.
What'd you say?
Okay, with that, we'd like to open it up for some questions. If you'd like to use the raise your hand feature at the bottom of the screen to ask any of the 3 questions. Our first question comes from Bill Ladson.
Congratulations, Darryl. As you approach June 1st, what's the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to your Mets career?
Well, the first thing comes to mind as far as my Met career, it was outstanding. Got a chance to play 8 seasons in Queens. Probably the best time of me ever playing Major League Baseball. Fun years, competing. The guys I played with, the teams that we had were incredible. You think about just first getting there, my rookie year in 1983, and it was just a bad team. Nobody was really concerned about winning. You only had guys like Hubie and Mookie, who were guys that were younger guys that were going to be around still at that time. So that was a great opportunity to play with those guys. And then Hernandez coming over. So that really kind of changed the whole personality of who we were and where we were going and the direction we was going in. And Davey came as the next year as the manager, and then Doc comes up, and we just go from there. And then we get Carter, and we go forward. And our 86 team was special because we had a bunch of guys that loved and cared for each other and that looked out for each other. And we all was a big part of that. You know, Mitch was a part of that. We called him World Be Free because he played everywhere. He played at every position on the field besides going behind the plate and getting on the mound. Davey used him on every occasions to play in different places to help us be successful. And so you know, that career of those 8 years, nobody could take that away, you know, from me. I mean, I realized that going somewhere else to play and everything in my career, and I played in other places, but no place was like Shea Stadium. Nothing like playing at Shea Stadium. Nothing like curtain call. Nothing like, you know, who we were as a team. And we had a lot of dogs on that team, and that's what I really love about that organization and being able to play in that organization. We kind of all came up together and blended in with some veteran players, and we became great at what we were trying to accomplish.
Darryl, what made you thrive in New York? Because it wasn't just the Mets, the Yankees as well. What made you thrive in New York? And you were a guy that was from Los Angeles.
I was just following homeboy. That's all.
Well, I think I just like the animal feeling of New York. I like the way people yell at you and get at you, and they make you either get after it, or they're gonna run you out of town. And they surely wasn't gonna run me out of town. You know, I was from South Central. You know, they wasn't no running out of town, so I had to get after it, and that's what I love about playing there. I love the fans. I love the atmosphere, and I love the way they come at you. You know, if you're not playing, they're gonna let you know. They're gonna boo, and they're gonna let you know, and let you know that you're sucking, and that's a good thing. And I think players take that as a bad thing. It's nothing bad about that. It's a great thing when you being booed, because if they wasn't booing you, they don't really care. They really know you're not that good. They only boo you if you're good and you're not performing. And I think a lot of times players underestimate the crowd. You know, I kind of fed off that crowd. I love that spirit. I love the way they act and in the stands, and the way they get after you to make you play at your best. So I always wanted to play at my best when I played there.
Thank you.
Once again, to ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature. Our next question comes from Mark Sanchez.
Hey guys, thank you for doing this, and Darryl, congratulations. I just wanted to go back to 1981, if that's okay, with Lloyd and Darryl. I've heard that there was a point that Darryl was close to quitting in Lynchburg. I was wondering, Lloyd, maybe you first, and then Darryl, just what do you remember about those days?
I'll go first. I mean, obviously, it was a tough time, you know, for a kid coming out of high school like Darryl. It was a little different for me because I played college ball, and the competition was a little stiff. You know, and Lynchburg was a high A club for us, and at times he struggled a little bit, and I don't think he struggled much in high school, you know, but his talents always came through. And the one thing I always told, man, just go out and be who you are and play with the passion that I know you can play with, and you're going to be just fine. And he made us all proud.
What do you remember from? I mean, I guess I've heard that you almost quit, Darryl, in those days. What were your recollections there?
Well, I hated that year. I hated Lynchburg. You know, I hated the fans, and you know, all the things that were being said, and you know, the comments or the racial things were being said to me as I kept running back to the dugout. And I just remember Gino, he was the manager. Gino used to tell me, don't look up there. And this was before Lloyd had came. Lloyd was in extended spring. You know, he had broke his wrist. So he stayed back, and he had to stay in extended spring. He was supposed to break camp with us. So he didn't break camp. And I ended up having another roommate by the name of Lee Shockley. And man, I was like living with him, and my life was just like, it was not good. I was not in a good space, you know, when things were going bad, and things were negative things, comments were coming out, and I was being called boy and this and that, and you suck. And Gino was just kept telling me, he was the man, he's just like, do not look up there. Cause I think he felt like I would have took my Louisville Slugger and went up there and started eliminating some folks. and then finally, you know, Lloyd, Big Mac came down, and he was down there one day when I came to the park, and I was like finally happy. I saw him, and I finally smiled, you know, because like people don't understand. Lynchburg was a very tough place, and wasn't a lot of African Americans on the team. I was the only everyday player, I believe, at that time on the team, and you know, it was a lot of pressure and a lot of things to deal with in the Carolina League. And the Carolina League was tough, no doubt about it. I hit 13 home runs that year, and I just really sucked, and I really hated that year. And I just thought to the Mets, I said, I think I made the wrong decision. I don't want to play baseball. I think I'm going to go back to school.
What kept you going?
They said give it another year, and then I went to the Texas League the next year, and Gino was there in the Texas League, and as a manager, and I went on to hit 34 home runs that year and stole 45 bases that year. Then I really realized that I arrived as a ball player that year in the Texas League.
Thanks. Once again, please use the raise your hand while we or send us a note in the chat while we wait for our next question. Kevin, what was it like for Strawberry helping you in 1986 when you came up?
Well, I got to tell you guys, man, he made it a lot of fun for me. You know, me coming out of the inner city, same probably background he came out. He was just right up the way in LA, and I was in Southeast San Diego. You know, it didn't understand. You know, never left San Diego my whole life, and got to be around Doc and Straw, and they made it more comfortable for me, man, to come and play, and watching these guys play a lot. And I learned a lot from them. You know, how much fun they was having going out there playing this game. They've made me the player that I am. And speaking of what Straw said earlier, by playing in New York, my first year, anywhere else was a piece of cake. Because if you didn't go out there and play for them fans, they was going to let you know about what was going on. You know, and then anywhere else once I left New York, everywhere else was a piece of cake for me. But Straw and Doc was my main guys that I dealt with, and you know, and made it, like I told you, made it fun for me to be there, that I enjoyed.
I even let you cut my hair.
Oh, that's right. and look at us.
Right, that's the first time I had a bald head, because when I let Mitch cut my hair, I had him just shave it all off for me. He goes, "You sure you want it all off?" I said, "Just shave it off for me."
And then he was a young Thundercat after I got. He felt like we had to get what you had before, man.
It was fun.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Andrew Tretnick.
Hey, Darryl, congratulations. You had just mentioned just the fans in Lynchburg, and obviously, you know, maybe, you know, the thoughts crossing your mind that you might have wanted to quit. And then also the New York fans and how they kind of, you know, despite the boos and stuff, that kind of fueled you. I guess, when did that kind of change, just the maturity to realize that, you know, the fans are kind of pulling for you?
Well, it's a different atmosphere when you playing in Lynchburg compared to New York. The New York fans are on you because they know you're talented enough and you can play at this level and be successful. And that's what I had to do. I had to be able to reach that challenge against the New York fans, that I was talented enough to be able to play at their level and be successful. And that kind of made me, the New York fans made me a complete player. They made me believe in myself. And I think going through the minor leagues, that was a little different, you know, because I was young. I was 19 years old in Lynchburg when I got there, and you know, deep down in the South, and man, you hearing things like, you know, boy, you know, I didn't hear that in Crenshaw High. You know, that's not the kind of language that you would hear in high school growing up in South Central LA. So it was a little different, and I had to really check myself and get some courage. You know, like I said, you know, Lloyd and Gino helped me, you know, get through that. It was a big step to get through and a hard step to get through. But I ended up finishing it up and got through that. But I learned something from that after I went forward and got to New York. I learned to block the noise out, even though it's there, but you can't let it get in. You can't let it get in, and because if it gets inside of you, it gets the best of you. And I realized that. And once I got to New York, I just kind of embraced, the fans and embraced, the cheering and the booing and as being part of it, to be able to play because the expectations are high. And I wanted to fulfill the promises of who I was as a player. And I was able to do that. And I had a great relationship. I'm not saying I didn't have a great relationship with the fans in New York. I had a great relationship with the fans in New York. I just think the curtain calls, like I said, were incredible. And I think when the booing was there, they wanted me to come out after I hit 2 home runs, and I wouldn't come out. I go down in the tunnel and wouldn't come out. So I played the game. I knew how to play the game. It was a good game to play, and it was a fun game to play. But it made me a great player there.
Was there a moment that you felt you kind of had arrived in New York, that you had kind of lived up to the expectations at all?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think as the years kind of moved forward, each year got better and better. And I think that 88 season, when I went in that 88 season and I had 87, 88 season, I think I really turned it on those 2 years. And moving forward, the 88 season was probably one of my better seasons. And that 1990 season was the season of saying goodbye, not to the fans, but it was saying goodbye to the organization, because they had put me in a position to say, well, show us, you're a free agent, show us that you are capable of coming back and having a good year and standing up and being able to play at the highest level. And I did. And I realized I did that, and that's the year that I ended up leaving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Abby Mistraco.
Hi, guys. I have a question for Darryl and for Kevin as well. Just what were some of the challenges of coming from the inner city to then transitioning to the minor leagues and then transitioning to the major leagues? How do you feel like that sort of impacted the rest of your career? The start of where you guys came from impacted the rest of your careers?
Well, I think for me, coming from the inner city, you play with all black players. You never play with any players of any other color. And that was a big thing. We played against other players, white players, but we never had teammates. So it was different. It was different to be able to start interacting with a different color player, and learning about that, and learning that this is the way it's going to be if you're going to go forward playing baseball, because the challenges of the minor leagues, the minor leagues are spread it all out across, and everybody got a different level of play where they're going to play at, and for us, me, I had to go through Lynchburg. I mean, I had to go to Kingsport, Tennessee when I first started. So you can imagine what the culture shock of that, coming from South Central LA to Kingsport, Tennessee. I was like, where the heck am I? In the middle of nowhere. And I got to play baseball. Now I got to use a wood bat too. So there was a lot of things that you had to transition into that was different from the start of the career through the minor league process and getting to the major leagues. And once you got to the major leagues, you were a little bit more comfortable because you had already experienced all these different things in the minor leagues.
Yeah. I think Straw hit it right on the nose. But I tell you, personally for me, I have never hung out with good guys like that in my life, and leaving the inner city. And I think by getting around people like Darryl Strawberry, Gary Carter, and all those guys, Keith Fernandez, it turned my life around, man. And I seen that these guys are all about having fun and being a family. I never had that. I was in the trenches with these guys every day, and they taught me a lot just observing them and watching them, what they do. And that's how I was always prepared. When I left New York, I was prepared to play this game the way it was supposed to be played, because I was taught by the best, I felt, with the New York Mets organization.
Darryl, back when I think it was your senior year at Crenshaw, there was a Sports Illustrated article that compared you to Ted Williams. What was that like, seeing that kind of comparison at just 17, 18 years old? How did you handle some of that hype around you before the draft?
Well, I was like, well, who the heck is Ted Williams? I mean, I didn't follow baseball. The only baseball that I followed growing up like that was like the Dodgers, because you grew up in L.A. and it was the Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds, and I watched the Cincinnati Reds, the big red machine, and the Dodgers playing all the time. And then I saw this one player on the big red machine, Pete Rose. I saw Charlie Hustle. I saw him playing, and I thought, man, that's what a baseball player is supposed to look like. You know, his uniform is dirty, and he hustled. I mean, he didn't have the talent of Johnny Bench and all these other guys, but that's what I realized baseball was like. And then I started watching baseball, and I saw the Pirates. Then I saw Dave Parker, the Colbert, a big right fielder, and I said, man, I want to be like him. Big, strong, 6'5", right, left-hander, can run, can throw, hit for power, hit for average. I wanted to be like that. So, you know, that's what I learned growing up watching baseball. I didn't have any idea about the great Ted Williams until I actually got involved with playing baseball and who he really was, and realized uh, what a legend, you know, to be compared to as a high school kid coming out of high school. I mean, I think when you're coming out of high school, you do think you're all that in a bag of chips until you got to put that aluminum bat down. When you put that aluminum bat down, you got to make a big adjustment to the wooden bat, you know, and that's a transition. That's a real transition that every player goes through and has to learn how to be the player that he's going to be. And I had it was step by step, and I think I finally reached that step when I got to Jackson, Mississippi, the Double-A team, and had that great year.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Joe Pantorno.
Hey, Darryl, thanks for doing this. And again, congratulations. Last month when Doc had his number retired, he talked a lot about how this moment sort of brought closure to his Mets tenure, his Mets career. Is there maybe a similar feeling for you regarding that in this day coming up? Thanks.
You make a good point there. This does bring a lot of closure to my career at the Mets, that I will always be a Met. And no matter how people look at it, those 8 years were the greatest years of my career. And I will always cherish those years. I will always keep those as something very special. There was nothing greater for me to be able to play in Queens like I did and have the success I had. Even with all the expectations, even with the media driving you, can you perform? Can you produce? And I thought for sure every year that I came into a season that I was going to produce. But I always got to be thankful for all the people that helped me get there. Had it not been for those people helping me get there, I would have never been able to stand up on my 2 feet and fight without the push of other people's, like Lloyd McLendon, like Gino, like Chuck Hiller, like Davy Johnson, Bill Robinson, Buddy Harrelson. You know, I go down a list of so many people that helped me actually excel at the highest level, to be great and deal with the pressure and be motivated every year to be better. And I think that's what's so special, you know, having teammates like Kevin Mitchell and Carter, Hernandez, Wilson. You know, you're not a great player unless you're on a great team, you know. And the thing about it that I look at more than anything, we had great teams every year going into the season. We had a chance to win. I didn't finish no lower than second in the division on every team besides that first year in 1983, where I finished. That was probably last place with the 83 Mets. But after that, every year for that all the way to 1990, I didn't finish no lower than second. You know, we won a championship. We finished first in the division in 86 and first coming in the division in 88. And every other time it was second. We was unlucky because we were just born at the wrong time. We didn't have the wild card, and we probably would have had more success if we'd had more opportunity to play more games and get into the playoffs.
Our next question is from Bruce Beck.
Hey, Darryl, congrats, my friend.
Thanks, Bruce.
What's your overall message to youngsters who have dreams to become a major leaguer someday, about the journey, about what it takes, about dealing with adversity?
I think to the younger people, they need to know adversity is a part. Adversity is a part of playing sports. And if you cannot let it dictate who you are, you just go through it and get on the other side of it. And I think that's part of a young players have to learn that. I think a lot of times young people let adversity tear them down. I didn't. I realized that it was a part. I mean, I had adversity growing up in my whole life, coming out of my household and coming from a broken home. So I already knew what that was about. So I had to experience that also on the ball field, being able to go through some trials and tribulations, the challenges of playing and the pressure of playing and understanding. But I think as a person, you have to understand who you are. Um, I think every athlete gets to a point where he understands who he is, not who somebody else is, not who somebody wants him to be, but who you are. Everybody's not going to be a Hall of Fame athlete. That's just it. People need to realize that. But it doesn't take away from what you are as an athlete, and you go out there and accomplish great things. You have something to give back to somebody else, to help somebody else and make a difference in somebody else's life. And at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to, is giving it back, giving your experiences back, giving your time back, and giving your love back to other people. And young athletes need to know that I'm not trying to create a buzz for young athletes to be like me or be like Kevin Mitchell or somebody else. Be who you are and do what you do, and do it at the highest level that you can, and have fun doing it, no matter what anybody else has to say. At the end of the day, if you don't have fun doing it, then it's going to be no good for you. And I think that was the most important thing that I learned about anything, was having fun when I went out there. And hopefully young athletes that play in New York and play under that kind of adversity, have fun, man. It's part of the challenge that you have to face when you play in a big city.
Yeah, but it's
Thank you, Darryl. I know that you've impacted a lot of young people's lives. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
and old men's lives.
Yeah.
Those old timers.
Yeah.
Older, not old.
Oh, it's this old saying, it get greater later. That's all.
Yeah, at the end, at the back end, the latter part of
Yeah.
it.
That's right. We like fine wine.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Mark Sanchez.
Darryl, what are you most looking forward to about June 1st?
I'm looking to embrace the fans who have always been there, more than anything, who have stood up and cheered us on in our good times and our bad times. I think more than anything. I mean, I'm looking forward to also my teammates, like Lloyd and Mitch and Eric Davis, and some of the other guys I play with on the 86 team being there, and Keith and Ronnie, and sharing the moment with Sandy Carter and Mookie. That's family. The organization is family. John Gibbons is going to be there, another one of our players. That's all family. We all were part of this big family that we came together. We came through this together. You just, like I said, you just don't come alone. It's just not you. Yeah, I might be standing alone there and being honored, for my success, but the people that help get me there, those are the people I want to embrace. And the fans are a part of that, to embrace them, because they helped me get there. And all these guys that I had the opportunity to play with, I want to embrace them because they helped me get there. And I want to make that day special. I just don't want to make it about me. Yes, I know it's, of course, that's what the whole day is surrounded about me, but it's about us, and I want to be able to take that, because I get to keep this forever. I get to keep this. It's a history of making that happened and took place in my career, and so many people have had a big part of what my career turned out to be.
And Lloyd and Kevin, just what's it going to be like to see Darryl finally get his day here?
Something, I got to say something too. A lot of people forgot what loyalty is. I was brought up on that. I was introduced to the New York Mets organization. I fell in love with some great people, and I still got loyalty for them. My teammates, I could never criticize them, no matter what type of problems they in, because I got love for them. But it's going to be, I talk to Darryl, most of the time, even we're so far away. But it's always a joy just seeing him and watching that smile on his face, and that the way he laughs. It's just, I'm thankful to see him in the place that he's in now. And I tell you, just being around him brings a big smile to my face and brings a glow on my face. They said people that haven't seen God always got that shine on their face, and that's what he have on his face. And he's going to give a lot of joy to people that's around him. You put yourself around good people, good things are going to happen, positive things.
Yeah, I think I would echo that. It was such a great family atmosphere. I don't think people really appreciated the Mets organization and how good it was. If you go back, if you look at that Lynchburg team, I was sharing this with Darryl the other day. There was a picture that I still have it, and we might have had 15 guys that played in the big leagues on the Lynchburg A-ball team, which is unheard of, you know. And we shared so much, and I can just, you know, name a few, you know, Lachelle Tarver, Kevin Mitchell, Randy Milligan, Doug Siss, you know, Darryl, myself. You can go on and on. Jay Tibbs, you know, just tremendous atmosphere, tremendous family atmosphere, and I think we all grew. We all learned from each other, and we all learned to love each other, to protect each other, and to depend on each other. I can remember when I had my first child, Kevin Mitchell picked me up over his head. I'm like, Kevin, please put me down. I don't want to die. I want to see the baby the first time.
You know, I stayed with Lloyd. Lloyd kept me. Lloyd was like man. He was like the godfather. And he like, hey, you remember when I took my cast off, man, and I water hose through it, man? I was like, man, I can't take this no more. And Lloyd helped me, and I got in trouble.
Hey, Lloyd. Hey, Mac, he kept us all together, man.
Yeah,
we were all young, you know, and he was like, he was a little older, out of college and stuff like that, and he kept us accountable. He kept us straight. He's like, like Kevin said.
I think I was managing at 21 years old. I just didn't realize.
Yeah, he was, and he kept me in my zone every day.
Oh yeah.
Like Miss said, he was the godfather. He was the godfather of all of us.
He was really Yoda. He kept us all up.
Oh man.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a great time, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'll try to hold back too. I try not to cry, though. I promise.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you will. You'll be all right. I mean,
yeah.
You made a good point. You made a good point there. Mac made a good point there about the organization and how many guys all went to the big leagues and played in the big leagues, because there was a lot of us in that organization. Like I said, we were stacked in that organization, and players were coming through right after me and Doc. You know, me and Doc, I was the first one, then Doc was, and then it was all the other guys that started to come, you know, through that organization. The Mets organization was the best organization in baseball. I don't think people don't realize how good that organization really was, you know, at the time when we had all these players, different players coming through the farm system, and that made us as good as we were all those years of playing.
Yeah, we had some character.
Thank you, guys, and congrats, Darryl.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question comes from Adesina.
Hello, Darryl. Congratulations to you. You mentioned growing up in Los Angeles, seeing not only the Dodgers, but seeing the Reds, and you mentioned Pete Rose, George Foster, who became your teammate, was part of the Big Red Machine as well, and Dave Parker with the Pirates. How cognizant were you when you and Dwight Gooden were performing in New York? How cognizant were you about the impact that you were having on future African-American baseball players? How aware were you at the time you're doing it, or did it take a few years afterwards about the impact you were having, not just on Mets fans and New Yorkers, but on the future of African-Americans in baseball?
Well, I think it took a few years, getting some time under our belt to be able to really realized that we were established. You know, of course, I went Rookie of the Year in '83, and he comes back and win in '84. But it's always, what have you done for me lately? You know, coming after that, and I think that was really the next steps for us moving forward, being able to solidify ourselves as Major League Baseball players, not just a one year hit and miss. You know, and you know, yes, because sometimes a lot of guys come in and have that 1 year, they hit it, and then they miss the other years. We didn't miss. We went back to back, and yeah, was it some roller coaster rides, up and downs? Yeah, it's part of baseball. That's the way baseball is. But overall, the consistency of playing there every day and being able to put up numbers and being able to stand out as a young Black player was big, and no doubt about it, especially in New York. With the pressure and expectation, can you continue to do it? Can you continue to build on it? And that's what it was like for us. I know for me, I mean, I probably had more media thriving over me every year where I wasn't giving enough. I mean, I would hit 30, 39. They said, well, it wasn't enough. You didn't do enough. You didn't get the team to the next level. I was just one player on the team, but I was doing my part. But it's part of it. It's part of living through that. And I had to live through that, and Doc had to live through that. And I think we did one heck of a job, for where we come from. We didn't come from a white picket fence. We didn't come from a suburb. We come from an inner city. And it's a decision that people make to draft players like myself and Doc and Kevin Mitchell, all people from inner cities. People don't really know our background. They don't know our struggle. They don't know our pain. They don't know our hurt. They just know that we play baseball and put on the uniform, and we shouldn't have problems. We should just be happy that we play baseball. And that's never going to be the case. It's some different challenges that players have to come to the big league and play in a big city and have a different lifestyle where they didn't have every piece in play for themselves. And that's what it was for me. I didn't have every piece in play for me. I had a wonderful mother, and she raised me right, and I'm forever thankful for who she is and what she did for us as her kids are raising us right and raising us to be the right kind of people, and no matter what took place. And I think that's what helped me get through my career playing in New York and being a young star at a young age early.
Darryl, one more. Was there one or two particular games during your Mets career that stood out to you?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of games. In 1985, I hit a ball off the clock in St. Louis, a hanging breaking ball for Ken Daly. I'll never forget that. But I tell you, the games that really stood out to me was those big games in the playoffs, beating Nolan and beating Nepper in that series in 1986 in that Astro series, because I could tell you what, we was not going to beat Mike Scott no matter what we could have thought would take place if we had to play a game 7. We didn't want to get into another game 7, so we played 2 game 7s in my career. We lost to the Dodgers. I don't want to get into that, but that game 7 and 86 we did not want to play, and we beat Scott and Nepper in that playoff series. And I think most people wonder what happened to us when we got into the first 2 games of the World Series. We were completely drained because of that National League Championship Series. It took everything out of us that we had to win those games and come through. And we beat some pretty good pitchers, at that time. And it was a good run for us, a good run for that team. The 86 Mets is the greatest team I've ever played on. I mean, far as talent-wise, far as gamers, and far as a team being together and having each other back. No team has ever been like that I played on, but the 86 Mets. That was the greatest group of guys I ever had a chance to play with and be successful.
Kevin, Lloyd, and Darryl, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Can I have one more thing, please?
Yes, sir.
A lot of you guys might know Lloyd McLendon was a big part of Mets history. After the 82 season, he was traded from the Mets to the Reds, and Tom Seaver came home for the last time. So a lot of Tom Seaver fans say thank you, Lloyd McLendon.
Yeah.
That's big.
It didn't feel good at the time, Jay.
You brought the franchise home, Lloyd. You'd be proud.
In many ways, Mac, you brought the franchise home, you brought Seaver home, and you helped me get there.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you, Ethan.
He's helped all of us, the Godfather.
Yeah, he is.
Love you, Vince. Love you, brother.
Thank you so much for joining us. A reminder, once again, Saturday, June 1st, number 18 will be up in the rafters forever. And tickets are still available on Mets.com. And we're excited to welcome all of our Mets family back that weekend. Thank you
All
for
right.
joining
Everybody.
us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, I love y'all, man.
Love you too. Love you too, Mitch. Good
All right,
seeing
love
you,
you,
boy.
brother.
Mitch.
Hey, I done missed 3 holes already.
Yeah.
Look at this place, man.
Oh yeah, well,
beautiful.
you got all day. You got all day, brother.
I done missed 3 holes.
That's all right. Yeah,
All right, bro.
you might have double bogeyed on 3 of them. So
I don't even. It ain't in my vocabulary right now.